Sorry, a few minutes late. Hi, David. Hi, everybody joining us. We thank God. I hope you had a good Sabbath. It's Lina Nyamoya. Thank you for joining us. So I'm excited to be here today. This first week, I think Sabbath of October. For those who are joining us from everywhere, please comment and let us know where you're watching us from. For our viewers on Facebook and YouTube, I have a special guest today, Dr. Leakey Nyaberi, Pastor Leakey, as most of you know him, a fellow Kenyan, an educated Kenyan. But before that, I want to shout out to everybody joining us to let you know that we appreciate your time. For those who may not know what this is, we don't have the copyrights to that music. That is Nani Kama Wewe by Eunice Jerry, my friend. If you're watching, Eunice, hey! One of my favorite songs, Nani Kama Wewe. Facebook, I don't have copyrights to that music. Hi, Marianne. Hi, David. Hi, everybody joining. So, as the crowd gets bigger, I just want to share that we thank God for this opportunity. Hi, Agnes. Hi, Sam Guaya. Dr. Guaya, you're here. I'm going to say this. For those who are joining us for the first time, thank you for that music. I want to say that I've been interviewing different people. We've had mayors, we've had Congresswoman Ilham, we've had Mayor Jeff, the former mayor of Brooklyn Park, the current mayor of Brooklyn Park, Hollis Winston. We've interviewed friends, entrepreneurs. I had an author last week, Dr. Daphne Kaniero from California. I've interviewed entrepreneurs, real estate agents, Ronnie, all of different people. And I love hearing stories of people, how they've navigated life and become successful, whether it's in a career or in a business or just life in general. So for those who are going to be joining us, that's what we do here. And as we are growing, we are learning that you need social media to get out there, to increase your visibility, to share with the world what you're doing, but more importantly, to inspire and impact people. That is why I'm excited to bring this guest today, kind of to share their story. I call it Story to Brand, to tell us what he's done. He's done so many things. I'll let him introduce himself because I was just going to catch myself. So before I bring my friend here, my brother, my friend, my pastor, doctor, author, dad, husband, everything, I'm going to bring Dr. Leakey to join us in the studio. Please welcome Dr. Leakey.
Thank you. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Pastor Leakey. Say hi to the people. We have a crowd already here waiting to hear your story.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Lina, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Actually, going back to, we thank God that you're here. I'm excited to have you. Thank you for making time, by the way. Your time is a gift to me because I know you could have been doing something completely different, but you chose to be here. So I appreciate that. And I want to take you back to where we've been running around, doing different things in the community. We've served in different places. As recent as the task force for Mwanyagetinge for the community during COVID. And I remember you were running your butt off in not only praying for funerals and families and sick, but serving. Technically, Victoria was cooking for people. But I just want you to mention, really just introduce yourself. Who is Pastor? Forget doctor. Who is Leakey Nyaberi to the people? Who is Leakey Nyaberi?
Well, Leakey is me. A lot of people maybe have not been able to interact with me, but I'm Leakey Mokua Nyaberi. I was born and raised in a village called Isoge in Burabu, sub-county, Emira County. I went to Isoge Primary School, but my mother wanted me to be fluent in English and Kiswahili because my dad had a vision of me becoming a lawyer.
Wow.
And so they sent me to a county or a district where people were taught in Swahili as a mother tongue and English. as opposed to how we grew up, singing that song. Panengia nintagete
Yeah,
nyemanye.
man. You
So
reminded me of a song.
yeah, so they sent me to Kitale. They sent me to Kitale, specifically Nyabomo, Trans Nzoia district.
Wow.
And I grew up with my cousins under the house of my uncle, Pastor Charles Nyakego, and his wife, who is now currently sick. May God heal you, Auntie Teresa Mkua. And that is where I did my primary school. I passed. I was called to St. Joseph's Kitale, but I had had enough of Kitale, and I went to Sameta High School through
Mm.
my grandfather, the late Pastor Wilson Nyakego. He
Oh,
sent
wow.
me there. So I went to Sameta High School. I finished my Form 4, KCSE, had a stint in Nairobi. But one man from my village who saw a lot of potential in me, because I had gone to Nairobi, specifically Nairobi Technical Training Institute. I didn't attain the university grades, as it were. And so Nathan Mugire, those of you who know a vehicle called Sandimu Sasaivi, the man is now late. This is the guy who came to Nairobi, looked for me, and told me, Leakey, this is not where I want you to be. You are better than this. You please need to get out of this place and go elsewhere. Either you go abroad and study law or do theology, but get out of here. You're not a chemist. And indeed, I wasn't enjoying those classes at Nairobi Technical Training Institute. And so I left.
What were you going to be?
I don't know, maybe a lab technician or something like that.
Okay.
So I came back home, and we had to fight with my dad, the late Mr. Joseph Nyaberi, when I told him, Dad, I'm not going back to school. He said, what? So he told me, if you're not going back to Nairobi, I paid my money and you're not going back there. You see what you can do for yourself. So I said, yes, I will see. And so I went to Kericho. No, before I went to Kericho, I stayed home for a little while. Then I was called by the Mira Conference as a global mission volunteer. There was a Mzungu who was sponsoring lay people to plant a church in unentered areas. So the Mira Conference approached me, and they said they will pay us a stipend of some little money to buy food or stuff like that, so that we could help plant a church. And I was sent to Mosocho, a place called Ruora.
Okay.
Or Raganga, that area.
Okay.
And indeed, we planted a church. I remember me and my friend Bernard Gechiko, Dr. Bernard Gechiko now, who is at Baraton University. Big shout out to you, buddy. And Brother Mongeri, who is now a chief, and Nyambureti. They planted a church in Mosocho, and I and Mongeri planted a church at Ruora. And that church has become a big thing now. It's a whole district with a pastor. And we just dug a ground and built a structure using mud, and people started worshiping there. But still, my dad wasn't doing anything. By then people had started calling me pastor and all that. So I went to to look for friends to help me raise money to go to college because I had gotten an admission to go to India and study theology. So I just said one day that I will go to Kericho. I hear my uncle, my cousin Mesha Kinyamwa and Jerusha used to be there. So I said I'll go there. If I find them, I didn't know that they had moved to Botswana, but I
Oh,
went
wow.
looking for them so that they could support me. But when I reached there, I heard they had left. I met a man called Nyabuga. Nyabuga listened to me and he said he will come to my Arambe, and he said, go have me in the car, I'm coming. So this man came and he brought a lot of money. We
Wow.
raised 100,000
Oh, wow.
and I flew to Spicer University in Pune, Maharashtra state in India, and that is where I did my theology. Then my master's in religion from Michigan, in Andrews University here in Michigan. Went back to Kenya and became a chaplain at Nyaberi Boys High School. Around the way, I met Victoria, my wife, and we married. Before we married, she asked me, Leakey, you asked me to marry you. I said, yes, I want you to marry me, please. Then she said, will you support my career? I want to be a professor. I want to achieve my goals. I want to be a doctor. I said, I'm going to give you all that. Please marry me. And so she said, yes. And I supported her to do her master's. I supported her to come to the US to do her PhD. And she invited us here, me and my son. Meanwhile, I registered for my PhD too at Maseno, which I finished a few years ago.
Congratulations.
And that is how I changed my title from Pastor Leakey to Dr. Leakey. So basically, I am a villager from Isoge who happens to live in Rosemount, Minnesota, who has been to the lowest of the lowest. I've been to the mountaintop. I've been somewhere in between. The Lord has been gracious. That is me.
I love that. So you basically shared longer than I thought, and this is really awesome. I'm excited to hear you went to primary in Kitale, you went to high school in Sameta, you went to college in India, and then you mastered in the US, and you went back to doctorate in Kenya, and now you're a pastor in the community. And going back to one question I want to ask you, why I know that pastors serve people, and I know your theology, your foundation, and your upbringing, that's what you do. But I've seen you attend my forums when I'm speaking, whether it's the Chamber of Commerce in Maple Grove, if you remember. Years back, we were talking about immigrant contributions to the state. I have seen you pray at events that are non-church, but they are gatherings of people. I've seen you serve the community. That Dr. Victoria of yours, cooking and you taking food in people's houses on your budget. What is this that drives you to be a giver? Because not every pastor is doing that. They always tease that pastors only work one day a week on Sabbath. The other days they're chilling. What's up with you working every day?
Thank you so much. Yeah, COVID was some experience. Allow me to start there. When COVID came, nobody knew anything about it. And but I had read somewhere that there's something coming to the world, and it started from China, and I was following the news. And I called one of the doctors in the community. He told me, forget about it. That thing will never reach here. So when it finally came, he called me and said, man, you are right. But, but for some reason, I had started preparing myself, and I had some clothes in my house, and I told my wife to make masks in preparation for COVID for us. So she made some for us, and when people started getting sick, I started delivering these masks to them that my wife made. Some of them were like, "How much do we give you?" And they told my wife said, "No, I'm not going to charge nobody. Please, if God's people can be safe." So people were desperate at that time. They wanted food, and I just prayed to God and I told him, "God, I must serve these people. If we all run away, who will give them the support they need?" And so I went into houses where there were sick people. Sometimes I could stand at a distance, wave to them, and say, "Please have the food." You know, that joy of service and that joy of looking at somebody. I remember one woman who was so weak she could not walk. She crawled to the door on her knees, and she was so sick. I talked to her on the phone, and she said, "Please make me some soup." So we made soup and I took it to her. The joy of seeing a grateful heart,
Wow.
having served them in those circumstances, gives me satisfaction that I have done my bit. I did not abandon the people. I have served my people.
I
That is
love
what
that.
drives me.
I love that. And they say that you give to humanity. I shouldn't preach to you. You're the preacher with the mastery of the book, the big book. But I think what you shared is really just service to humanity, is how God rewards you, because you're not looking for accolades or anything. It's just that God uh, basically takes care of you and protects your own because you're taking care of his flock. So I saw someone comment earlier on the post that I shared when you were coming live that you were their chaplain. I don't know if you know Silas Nyachwani. He posted earlier, and I think somebody else posted that you were their chaplain. So how many schools did you chaplain?
I was a chaplain at Nyaberi Boys High School for 5 years and Sironga Girls High School for a year. That was 2004, 2008, and then 2009, 2010. That is the time I chaplained those two powerful schools in Nyamira.
Nyambari and which one?
Sironga Girls.
Oh, the national schools. Okay, very cool.
My honor and privilege to have gone through that experience.
I love that. So
Yes.
I'm gonna take you down to the next question, but I have somebody asking, I think Lamek asking, question for Pastor: how has the charity work you've done and continue doing created enemies from within, especially those who feel like you're a star shining more than them? I was gonna ask Pastor about the question of Cain and Abel, but I think we can probably summarize that quickly and then I can move on.
Well, as I said earlier, I have the Lord has blessed me. He has taken me to the mountaintop and shown me good things. He has given me beautiful family, amazing children, and I consider myself blessed. He has given me an education and all that. However, along the way in my work experience and my pastoral experience, I have encountered fears, enemies, and I don't know why. I don't know why, but there are people who enjoy inflicting pain on others unnecessarily. If they put that little energy into service, into doing something more productive, they will be a
Very
great blessing
successful.
to humanity. But they spend so much time in plotting, in planning, in creating, in recreating, just to hurt you. But I have learned in my life that that is the journey of some. It doesn't bother me. I remain focused because if there's service to be offered, I must be there. That is me. If there's a call, somebody suffering, it's a call to duty, I'm out, I'm going. If it's night, if it's during day, I'll do my part, my honest part, without bothering what people think, what people are plotting, what people are saying, because that is their calling. You know, we serve God and there are people who serve the enemy.
Very true.
God has sent me and they have been sent to fight. And if I focus on the fight, I couldn't be doing what I do.
That's right, which is amazing actually. I love how you say that because I've said whenever people bring up that question or like enemies or hate, it dates back to Genesis. Yeah, Cain, Abel didn't have to do anything. Cain is a brother born of the same from the same womb, but he hated the favor on the brother. So I'm not gonna dwell on that. You and I have had this discussion of hate is not new. There are people who are builders, like you said, and there are people who are destroyers. So you focus and choose which one you want to be. But sometimes I feel like there's some who really just sent to be destroyers, which brings me to the next question, Dr. Leakey. You've said God has taken you to the mountaintop and you focus, and that's why you've been able to accomplish so much. So you're not only a pastor, you're not only a pastor like a preacher at church, you're not only a doctor who's had a doctorate degree while you're raising a family and taking care of other things in the community, but you're actually an author. Congratulations, not of just one book but several books. Two published, two more yet to go to the hot press. But let me just hear a little bit about your work. So, which are your books, and tell us a little bit about that, about your books.
Well, I have written 3 books actually. I've authored 3 books. One is called SOAR, Courage to Cut Through Self-Limiting Beliefs. This book was initially called Make It Happen. But when I met another friend of mine and we re-authored it, Susin Chogu, an in-law to Damaris Nyaberi and Pastor Mukua, we changed the title. But basically, this book was born out of my ministry to young people in schools.
Okay.
Every time you are asked to speak to young people, the question is, what am I gonna tell them? And it was my goal and desire to inspire them to achieve or to attain their full potential. And I wrote that book to specifically do that, help them, achieve that which God had created them to achieve. It's a very basic book. Basically, it tells young people to plan their lives, utilize the basic skills right at home or in their hostels, like making your bed, keeping things orderly, organization, and doing your homework on time, not procrastinating, stuff like that, using cards, taking notes. It basically prepares young people for life so that when they have followed that basic path, they are well prepared to venture into tougher assignments because they have been able to be faithful in little things down here. That is SOAR, Courage to Cut Through Self-Limiting Beliefs.
Okay.
The second book I wrote is a book called Move Beyond Mediocrity,
I like that one.
Ancient Wisdom to Elevate You to the Next Level. Lena, I don't know if you know, there is a research that was done in Scranton University, and it was discovered that 92% of people who set New Year goals, 92% never follow through them, never get to achieve them.
Wow, that's a
It
big percentage.
it is only 8%
8%.
who are called achievers. It is only that is a mind-boggling discovery.
It is a big
And so
number.
it simply means that 92% of the world is living in mediocrity. Yet there are, what can I say? There is a lot that we can do with the potentials that God has given us if we only did the right thing. And so I wrote that book having read a book called The Richest Man in Babylon,
Yes.
and how that guy went to seek for wisdom. He utilized this wisdom and became the richest guy or man in Babylon. Having learned the ancient wisdom, when Clason wrote that book
Time
many
ago.
days ago, years ago, I utilized that wisdom to come up with a book that I believe if people read and utilize it, I'm sure they will achieve great things in life and move beyond mediocrity. We don't have to live alive at the base. We can do better.
I love that. And I want to just shout out our audience. Cyprian Mulachake, Machuki Strong, the soldier, Purity, thank you for being here. She's written a lot of verses there. Nora, Robert Nyagaka, another Nyaribarian of yours. Lamek, another Nyaribarian. Doro, your niece is here. Princess, everybody watching Marianne, I don't want to get distracted. Dr. Guaya, Marianne Kanyeru, Nyakeru, I said it backwards. Thank you for being here. So yes, let's move beyond mediocrity, people, way beyond. So which brings me to the next question, Pastor.
There's another book I didn't talk about, if you allow.
I want you to talk about, and actually I want to challenge you to talk about the other two, because the last time I challenged you, you produced a book.
The other book that I have authored is called Worth the Wait, Finding Meaning Through the Waiting Stations of Life. There are things personally I have been waiting for a long time. Sometimes along the way have become impatient and messed me up. There are some that I'm still patient and patiently waiting. But the joy I got when I achieved some of the things I was waiting for, man, you will never believe it.
Yes.
So there are people in life, some are waiting for children, some are waiting for a cure, some are waiting to graduate, some are waiting to, all these things we are waiting for. The waiting stations of life. Life is a waiting game. You go to the bank, you have to wait for your turn. You go to the restaurant, you have to wait for your turn. So I wanted to encourage people that whichever station of life you are waiting, there are people who have waited and God has come through for them.
Amen.
Please don't lose hope and do something silly like some of us have done in the past and end up destroying a brick from your house or even the whole house because of impatience. So we are even waiting for the second coming of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So it will be worth the wait when he finally comes. So none of us lose hope. That is my third book. The book that I am currently working on, it is still in the kitchen, is called Moving into Marriage. Basically, a manual for our young people. Having been a pastor, I have encountered a lot of people who have gone into marriage without the requisite preparation. And I'm working through 14 areas that any couple should go through before they finally say, I do. And that is what I'm working on. Basically, this is geared towards being a blessing to my community, the young people within the community, and anybody who wants to achieve a better life than they are living currently. Thank you.
I love that. And it's funny because here you are, chaplain in those schools, and you've done a lot of community work. But it's funny because your passion is for the youth, because it's clearly showing you're very biased in your writing. Your audience is like the youth, like everything you're talking about, not necessarily youth, but the young people. But I want to say that I can definitely, I've seen Worth the Wait, because I think you shared that with me. And all of us are waiting for something, whether it's waiting for a degree, like you said, waiting for a job, waiting for a business, waiting for marriage, waiting for kids, waiting for something. Somebody's waiting for something, even just to solve a simple problem. So I think there's an opportunity that you can find some resources in Pastor's book that can help you navigate life and get to that next level, whatever that is. So I'm going to challenge you to write another one for adults, navigating life, handling haters when you've gotten to the mountaintop. So, which brings me to the next question. So, I feel like you've spent most of your career years here in the US as a pastor. You've done a lot of work as a speaker. I know the other day you mentioned to me you had been invited to South Africa, Nigeria, all these places that you've been invited to go talk about your book. And that's really the power of authorship. You talked about you don't understand how it feels awesome when you've gotten something you've been waiting for. I tell you, when I became an author, that was like the most exciting, exhilarating thing I've ever done. Like I couldn't believe I did it.
Congratulations to
So,
you too.
so I can't even understand. I can totally understand and relate to what you shared. But going back to what I was saying, your books have given you so many opportunities from diverse people of all over the world reaching out to you to go speak to them, not just because you're a pastor or a doctor, but actually because you became an author. What would you share have been your greatest challenges here in the United States? For the viewers who are watching, we almost have 80 people watching us right now from YouTube and Facebook. What would you say for that big audience to you tonight as a few tips on how to navigate the challenges you've faced here in the US? Just make it 3 or 4 challenges.
Well, one of the things I want to say is that God has given us basically 4 resources of life in life. And I've captured that very well in my book, Move Beyond Mediocrity. Resource number 1 is money. One of the greatest tragedies of life in the US is basically having too much month
and too little money.
and too little money to navigate through the month. And the sooner one who has arrived in the US learns how to navigate through the money issue, what to save, how to budget, and how to spend that which is remaining, how to give, whom to give to, and where to give. That is when you sit back and count and look back, and you can clearly see where most of us have gone wrong in terms of money. I'm currently reading Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. That is a book that everybody should read. I must talk in the loudest voice possible that please go read that book. Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey is a game changer. Because what you realize is that we make money, a lot of money in the US. But most of us are struggling with credit card debts, car loans, mortgages, and all that. Yet, there is a percentage of people, the so-called achievers, who are living debt-free. And that is one challenge that I have encountered here in the US, and I continue to encounter, but I am working on it through these manuals that we are reading. And I encourage everybody to read that book. Challenge number 2, or resource number 2 from my book is relationships. People can be your greatest assets and your greatest equal opportunity destroyers. So my advice could be utilize this resource carefully, be nice to people, but don't be over nice. Don't deny yourself life because you have to please people, because they turn against you very quickly.
I know that.
They won't remember that you were in their houses serving them once you are in trouble, or once they want to inflict. Resource number 3 is energy. I have learned that in this life there is a lot of good things, a lot of good food, a lot of comfort. There is a nice life in America, and you can very easily forget and eat in all the good restaurants and destroy your life, your health. So as Dr. Daphne Kanyaru keeps shouting from the top mountaintop, it is a challenge for many of us who came here healthy, but who are struggling with lifestyle diseases because we didn't take care of our energy. We really need to refocus and work on that. Then resource number
4.
Number 4, I've talked about money, I've talked about relationships, I've talked about energy, I've talked about time.
Mm-hmm.
Time waits for no man. Time and tide wait for no man.
Mm-hmm.
I came here a young man, now I feel like I'm old. I didn't have white hair, it has come. In the soon, as somebody says, if you will relocate to Africa, that house you are building there, you might not be able to climb up the stairs. So utilize your time wisely to achieve your goals. You don't have to live in this country for so many years without going for that degree that will give you a better job, better pay, and a better life, move you from an apartment to your own house, and leave your children a legacy. And all that depends on how you're utilizing your time. And those 4 have been my success stories, or challenges, I should say. Yeah.
Yes,
And
those are great
I
tools.
don't
You
know if
shared,
I answered your
you
question.
share, you talked about money, you talked about relationships, you talked about energy and nutrition, and you talked about time and tide. And those are extremely important for anybody, regardless of your age, whether you're young or old. I think it's extremely important. And of course, like Machuki is commenting, the fast foods are cheaper than healthy foods. Yes, that's the problem, because then people are too tired to cook, but also the convenience that comes with it. But it's actually very dangerous for all of us because it's harmful for your health. And I'm going to challenge you about, you talked about getting that degree and moving you from one step to another. You know how loud I've been lately about entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
Entrepreneurship gives you that time, gives you the freedom, gives you all the opportunities and all the tools you talked about, unlimited. Because as a job, you're obligated to attend somebody's clock, but as an entrepreneur, you dictate your clock. And that's always the freedom that we are all looking for. So, going back to the tools you shared about time and money and safety, really, and just being discerning. I believe in the spirit of discernment when it comes to listening to your gut or your intuition. Don't help too much without really listening to the energy or listening to your spirit. When it tells you stay away, it's God trying to protect you. So on the last, as we conclude our interview, can you imagine it's already 38 minutes, Pastor? So you're focused on young people, but there's also a lot of middle age, like 30s, 40s, 50s, watching us on this live. Doro, thank you for being here. Vera, Naomi, Timothy, everybody joining us. Bessie Nyankuru is on here. Thank you for spending your few minutes with us. Going back to our focus. So what are some of the, you've shared kind of the lessons within the challenges, which is actually amazing. So your books, where can people find your books to get those lessons that you just talked about? What platforms or how people can reach you if you have some at the house? Do you want to talk about that quickly and then we can conclude?
Yes, thank you for the opportunity to talk about that. You can order my books through me, or you can shoot me a text, DM on my Facebook, Dr. Leakey Nyaberi 1 on Twitter, or X as they now call it.
Yeah.
Or you can reach me through my host here, Lina. I have these books in Amazon, but buying my book from Amazon, unless you remember to go back there to give
A review.
a review and a good rating, Amazon will have to sell over 300 of my books to pay me $300. That doesn't
Yes.
help. But
Yeah.
they are there, and because they are there, people have read it from various parts of the world, and they have reached out to me. Can you create time and come and speak to our young people, our church members, people from all over, whatever church you can imagine? I have tons of emails and invitations because of that. So the books are on Amazon, amazon.com. Type Leakey Nyaberi. You will find my books pop up, and you're welcome to buy and leave a review. Or you can reach out to me. I'm not so sure if I am ready today to give my number, because I once gave it and people used it wisely.
You
So
can protect that. They can DM you if they need it that bad.
you can always reach us separately, or through the social media platforms. I'm not hidden. I use my names. So find me and we can discuss about the books. Thank you.
Awesome. So that is really cool. And of course, Timothy Machogi is saying entrepreneurship is the way to go. As Lena said, do something, be your own boss. 9 to 5 is a scam. I agree. However, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. As you grow, you can start at that job, and then guess what? You use it as a stepping stone to get you to your next move. We say that we grow in stairs, not necessarily in the escalator or elevator. We take time. So as immigrants, especially in this country, that's what's important. So I just want to give a shout out to Naomi, Timothy, Bessie, Nemuel, who says, I see my friend Dr. Leakey, Nemuel Rosinde, Ruth Shimaka, Doro. Doro is making fun of you. He says, number. So I think that's exciting.
Is my daughter.
Yes, Doro is your niece, of course. Thank you, Lamek, for those who spent a few minutes to join us. Lamek is saying, before you conclude, we would like to know some. What is Lamek saying? Before you conclude, we would like to know why some in the ministry you serve want you dead. This is because the latest intel indicate that the Gam fiasco was an attempt of your life by close friends from the ministry. I think that's inaccurate. However, we will just make sure that we... Pastor, what do you want to comment on that? We want to stay on focus here.
Yeah, I'm sorry that is what some people mistook of that incident that happened recently. It was not an attempt on my life by anybody. It was a freak accident, I should say, by somebody who engaged me on a talk. There were 2 functions, and he was there in another function, and so we met in the bathroom, and he said, "Oh, how are you?" "I'm fine. Where are you from?" "I'm from Kenya." And "Oh, you're from Kenya. I want to visit Mombasa." And so he reached into his pocket and had some very beautiful looking container. He opened it, he took a gummy, he put it in his mouth, and he said, "Would you like some?" I'd washed my hands, of course. I said, "Sure." And lo and behold, it was marijuana, and it turned me a little sick, I should say, because I ended up in the hospital. But it is not anybody in the ministry trying to get me, or anybody or any of my friends. If there is anybody who is trying to get me, they will not get me, because I am protected by the blood of Jesus, and I'm not available.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
I am safe, I am healthy, I am vigilant, no more gummies. And I want to put it out there that I was a bit naive, taking something from a stranger and putting it into my mouth, but it's a lesson for all of us. You go to work and somebody says, "Here is the corn. Can you have some?" Or a cookie or mandazi or anything. People are evil out here. You never know what people are putting in there. So be safe. And that is what I'm going to do. And I want you to also to be safe.
I like that. And that's actually a good place to end the interview. But I wanted to just give a shout out to everybody who joined us. Oh my God, Pastor, we are over 90 people. That's almost 100 people wanting to watch us and spend a few minutes with us on this Saturday evening.
Thank
For
you.
those who may not know me, my name is Lina Nyamoya. I am a life insurance agent. I am a speaker. And now we are doing Story to Brand, where we can interview more people here. If you have a story to tell, if you're starting a business, if you're doing any of that stuff, join us. Let's increase your visibility, because that's a good way for the world to know what you are doing and create an impact as you attract more income for yourself. And as I close the interview, thank you, Dr. Leakey. I'm very proud of you. You know that. Continue serving. I'm grateful for everything you do for not only your family, but also for the community at large. And may God continue to protect you and open doors for you. For those who are watching us, may God bless you. Have a wonderful night. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us. And on that note, unless Pastor, you have something else to say, I just want to say God bless you and good night.
Yeah, before you say good night, even though you've already said it, I wanted to say three things. Number one, love and look after yourself.
That's right.
Love and look after yourself as a lesson, general lesson of life. Number two, take care of your four resources: your money, your time, your health, that is your energy, and your relationships. Those four will take you places. Lastly, do something you are good at and do not look back. The Bible says, whatsoever your hands finds to do, do it with all your might. There's a reason why God wants us to focus. And once you are focused, even if you are a tailor, who do you think makes suits for President Biden? It's a tailor. Some
Oh,
people may
President
look,
Ruto, right?
yeah, some people may look down upon a tailor and wonder, like, what are they? They are nothing. If you are good in your tailoring, you will be the best and you will be given your accolades. I love programs like the D Awards, for example, that recognizes talent and people. And even if the world doesn't recognize you, God will recognize you and elevate you. All you need to be is to be good at what you're doing, and the rest will follow. Thank you, Lina, for giving me the opportunity to be here and to say something small about my story. Thank you, my good friends who have been here. I will not be able to mention all of them, but I saw quite a number pop up here. Timothy, Professor Timothy Mochogi, or Geteregechi, Professor Geteregechi from New York. Thank you so much for being here. And Doro, of course, my niece, and many other people from Kenya, my students. Man, it's been overwhelming being here and talking to you. May God bless you. Take good care of yourselves, and see you another time. And please remember,
Awesome.
reach out to me and get a book for yourself.
I love that. Well, thank you for your time, Pastor. And I will take those special tips, the nuggets you shared at the end. Whatever it is that you're good at, do it to the best of your ability, and God will take care of the rest. Really, your gift will make room for you. That's in Proverbs. And I believe that's why I opened this channel, to kind of highlight our stories and share what I can. And I'm so grateful that you said yes. So on that note, may God bless you. May God bless our viewers, all of them. Take care. Have a good night. Until next time, share this video. If you find it a blessing, reach out to Pastor. He does more than authorship and pastoring. I'm sure he's a counselor as well, because that comes with their territory. So you can reach out for any support, even just a prayer. Sometimes, prayers are never enough. So reach out and get that. God bless you and good night.
Good night.